Welcome to the Professor English podcast, where we don't just talk about English, we practice English. Today, we are going to practice the difference between ing and ed adjectives, the difference between words like bored and boring, a very common confusion for people learning English. Here is a very short explanation of the difference. It is that one is a cause and the other is an effect. Cause and effect. Boring is the cause of bore, and bored is the effect of bore. If that is not exactly clear for you right now, don't worry, because after doing this listening and speaking exercise with me, you will improve your listening, improve your speaking, and you will also understand very clearly the difference between bored and boring. Now, let's start practicing English. Here is a situation. John exercised for 2 hours. That's a long time for exercising. Let's make a how John feel after exercise question. How? How did he? 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 How did he feel? How did he feel? How did he feel after exercising? How did he feel after exercising? How did he feel after exercising? How did he feel after exercising for 2 hours? Now we have the verb to tire, and we have to decide, is John causing this experience of tire, or are we focusing on his experience of the feeling of tire? It's an experience that he's having. He's not causing it for other people. It's something that he is feeling himself. So let's use the ed form. He felt tired, not tiring. He felt tired. That was the effect of the exercise. He was experiencing tire. John felt tired. He was tired. Now, let's ask a why question. Why? Why John tired? Why was he tired? Why was he? Why was he? Why was he tired? Why was he tired? Here is the reason. Because exercise is... Now, let's take a look at the same verb, to tire, and apply it to exercise. The difference between ing and ed ending is the cause and effect. If the exercise is causing tire, or is it experiencing tire? Exercise is the cause. It's not the result. It's the cause. It's the source of tire. Exercise is tiring. It makes people tired. That's the cause. Exercise is the cause. Exercise is tiring. Exercise is tiring. He felt tired because exercise is tiring. He was tired because exercise is tiring. All right, this is a piece of cake. Let's try another problem. Here's another situation. Mary was reading the instructions, but she didn't understand them. Let's make a how Mary feel question. How did she? How did she feel? How did she feel while reading? How did she feel while reading? Feel while. How did she feel while? How did she feel while reading? How did she feel while reading the instructions? Now, to answer this question, we're going to use the verb to confuse, and we have to make it into an adjective, into a description. We can add the ing ending or the ed ending. Are we talking about Mary feeling an effect, or are we talking about Mary being the cause of confuse? Is she feeling the effect of confuse, or is she giving it out to people? She's feeling it. She's experiencing it. It is the result of something. She is confused. She felt confused. It's a result from reading the instructions. It's the effect of reading the instructions. It's the experience that she is having because of the instructions. She felt confused. She was confused. She was confused. Let's make a why question. Why? Why was she? Why was she confused? Why was she confused? Here's the answer. Because the instructions were, and now again we have to make this choice. If we use the verb confuse, is it confused or confusing? You say confused because you're experiencing the effect or the result of something. And you use confusing because that thing is pushing it out into the world. It's pushing confusion out into the world. So what are the instructions? Are they confused or confusing? Are they giving confusion or are they experiencing confusion? They're giving it. They're giving it out into the world. They're giving it to her. The instructions were confusing. They're giving it out to people. The instructions were confusing. They are the cause. The instructions are the cause. The instructions were confusing. They were confusing. She was confused because the instructions were confusing. She was confused, that was the result, because the instructions were confusing, because the instructions were giving out confusion. All right, you're doing a super duper job. Let's try another example, but before we do, I just want to remind you that if you find these exercises helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel, Professor English ESL Class, so that you won't miss the next lesson. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, please take a moment to press the like button. It helps my channel so much and lets me know that you want to see more fluency and listening comprehension exercises just like this one. Now, let's keep practicing English. Here is another example. Mark listened to the presentation for 1 hour. Mark listened to the presentation for 1 hour. Let's make a how John feel. Let's make a how Mark feel question. How Mark feel. How did he? How did he? How did he? How did he? How did he feel? How did he feel? How did he feel about the presentation? How did he feel about the presentation? Okay, now let's use the verb to interest to describe his feelings. But we have to decide, is he experiencing interest? Is this interest the result or the effect of something? Or is he giving interest to people? Which one is it? Is he experiencing it or is he giving it? He's experiencing it. He's feeling interested. He is interested. He was interested. He was interested in the presentation. He was interested in the. Interested in the. Interested in the. Interested in the. He was interested in the presentation. Interested in the. He was interested in the. He was interested in the presentation. Now, let's make a why question. Why? Why was he? 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 Why was he interested? Why was he interested? Why was he interested in the presentation? And here's the answer. The presentation was, and now we have to use that word interest, that verb interest, and we have to decide, is the presentation giving interest out into the world, or is the presentation receiving interest? What do we want to say? Do we want to say the interest is dispersing the interest, or the presentation is dispersing the interest, or is the presentation feeling interest? Presentations can't feel, so it must be interesting. The presentation was the cause of interest. The The presentation was interesting. It was interesting. He was interested in the presentation because the presentation was interesting. He was interested in the presentation because it was interesting. He was interested in the presentation because it was interesting. He was interested in the presentation because it was interesting. All right, you did an amazing job today, and you learned some fantastic English. Congratulations, I knew you could do it. Remember, practice makes perfect, so you should repeat this exercise several times, not just so that you can remember this vocabulary, but also to improve your listening and your speaking skills. It's been really fun practicing English with you today, and I hope to see you again real soon. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the like button. See you in the next video with more interesting words and phrases.